Growing up, our parents taught many of us to work hard, save money, stay out of debt, and try to build a stable life.
And to be honest, a lot of that advice was quite wise.
Yeah, I'd say very wise.
But here is a challenge. In today's world, if that is all you do, it may still not be enough.
And that's because the economy continues to change, the cost of living continues to rise, and what cash alone can do for your future is no longer enough.
So in today's video, we want to talk about what the previous generation got right about money and what still matters, and what individuals and families today may need to do differently if they want to build real wealth.
Now, we're not throwing away the old wisdom, but we're trying to build on it. Okay, my name's Ken. I'm a chartered accountant, a financial coach, and a former chief financial officer.
And my name is Mary, and I'm an entrepreneur and former e-business analyst.
Together, Mary and I are a husband and wife team. We are Sunday Times best-selling authors of Financial Joy, and more recently became Sunday Times bestsellers of The Wealth Habit, a groundbreaking behavior-driven approach to wealth building that rewires the way you think about money, turning financial success into a series of tiny, effortless, repeatable actions.
We'll link to it below and above for you to check it out. And we'd love for you guys to get involved in today's video. Take a moment to comment with one piece of money or life advice that you got from your parents that may not work for us today.
That'd be really interesting to read. Let's actually start with what our parents got right.
All right. Okay, so I think one of the mistakes that people make is looking back at the generation before us and assuming that they were unsophisticated with money.
No, I agree. They were not unsophisticated. They definitely knew what they were doing, right?
Yeah, they did. Many of them were deeply disciplined. They knew how to stretch their money, for example. I remember shopping in outdoor market stalls like Ridley Market with my mum for affordable foods and African food. And we'd also go to various supermarkets for the best deals, not just one supermarket. And plus we'd go to like Billingsgate Market and Spitalfields Market for the bulk fruits, vegetables, meat and fish, so that we could get value quality food. You know, they also knew how to sacrifice and how to live below their means. And our parents, their generation went through some difficult times and they knew how to keep a family going even under pressure.
That definitely resonates with me, especially if you come from an immigrant background or a working class background where money was all about survival. It was about keeping the food on the table, it was about paying rent, helping family back home, or just generally trying to stay afloat.
Exactly. So when we typically say stuff like our parents didn't invest much at all, sometimes that misses the context. A lot of them were trying to build stability from very little.
Yeah, I agree. That matters so much because we have to also honor that struggle that they had, that work ethic they had, and the values that they were trying to instill in us as their children.
Yeah, and the problem today isn't that the values were wrong. It's just that the world has changed so much and keeps on changing.
So let's talk about why the old rules no longer feel like they're going to be enough. Today, just being careful with your money often does not move the needle in the same way that it did for our parents. And the data really shows that. In the UK, home ownership for 30 to 34-year-olds fell by 20 percentage points between 1986 and 2021, while for people aged 75 to 79, it actually rose by 48 percentage points. So when younger people feel like the old route to stability is harder now, that is not just in their heads.
You're right, you can be responsible and still feel stuck.
Yeah, you can basically work hard, save hard, do your best, and still feel like life is getting more expensive faster than you can actually keep up.
And even earnings tell part of that story. So Resolution Foundation found that younger millennials earned about 8% less at age 30 than the generation before them did at the same age. And this is where many people feel the tension because they're doing what they were taught was the right thing, but sometimes still feels incomplete.
You know, when I first got my proper salary as a trainee chartered accountant, I had more money than I had ever had before. My first instinct, of course, was to pay my bills, enjoy life, you know, go traveling, and save some money, where possible.
Yes, because saving a bit of money where you can, feels responsible.
Exactly that. And it felt familiar. it felt good, like a good thing to do, something that our parents had taught us. But over time, I began to realize that there's a difference between protecting our money and actually growing our money. And in a world where inflation exists and life keeps getting more expensive, just holding money in cash, can feel quite safe emotionally, right? While actually costing us quietly over time.
Yeah. CPI inflation is currently 3%, and given how things are going in the world, it's expected to remain higher for longer. That is the quiet challenge of inflation.
Yeah, I mean, to add to that, the Bank of England, they target 2% inflation because prices rising over time changes what money can actually buy. So if your money is not growing at all over the long term, you'll quietly be getting poorer and poorer every year without actually noticing it.
Yeah, that's such an important point. We weren't taught these things growing up. What feels safe, i.e. cash, is not always what is strongest over the long term, for example.
Exactly that. So what was the turning point then? Let's talk about that. For me, one of the biggest turning points actually came in the year 2010. I had already been curious about investing, but I had not taken action yet. Like many people, maybe like you watching, I had many reservations. And that fear is still incredibly common today. The FCA found that among people with £10,000 or more sitting in cash today with no investments, 34% worry about losing their money. 24% say they do not know enough, and 12% feel overwhelmed by all the options available. So when people hesitate, it's often not because they are careless, it's because investing can feel emotionally and mentally heavy. I personally feared losing everything. I worried that if I put it in the stock market, it might just disappear down a dark hole. And thinking back on it, I also felt overwhelmed by all the choice that was out there.
Yeah.
There were so many options that it almost made me actually freeze. Then came a moment I'll never forget. In 2010, the BP oil crisis happened. At that time, BP's share price fell massively. There was bad media coverage everywhere. And it was one of those moments when fear was literally dominating the headlines. I remember some friends and I talking about it and kind of seeing it as maybe an opportunity. The thinking at the time was, here's a company with, in our view, then very strong fundamentals, but it had a terrible week. The market reaction had been huge. Now, that does not mean that every company with bad press, of course, is a buying opportunity. It simply became one of those real world moments that pushed me personally from just theorizing about investing into actually taking action.
I love that. It made investing, feel real, like actually getting your feet wet. And that fear that you described is even worse for a lot of women out there who feel like investing isn't for them, it's for other people.
Yeah, I personally hear that, especially thinking about my sisters and their investing journey. For me, back then, speaking with friends who were interested in investing made it feel less like an abstract thing that other people did. It suddenly felt like something I needed to understand properly myself. And that was what led me to opening my Hargreaves Lansdown Stocks and Shares ISA and making that first move into investing. The platform had lots of helpful research that I could read and written in easy language I could understand. I took the step to start investing, not because I had everything figured out. I certainly did not. It was also not because I had become suddenly fearless overnight. Definitely not. It was because I had reached a point where I knew that simply saving money was not going to be enough for the kind of future we wanted to build as a family.
And that's such an important part of the story, actually. You didn't begin because you knew everything. You began because you did your research and you realized that you needed a new approach.
Definitely. I needed not just a new approach, but the habit of investing as well as the identity over time. I wanted to be able to say that I'd become an investor, and that as a couple, we'd become investors and we were working towards our goals. So let's talk about going from single shares to diversification, because that was quite a big deal, right? So one of the most important things that I learned after starting was that investing is not about chasing one lucky pick, okay? At first, like many people, my attention was drawn to individual companies because that is often what makes all the headlines. But over time, I started to learn more about risk and diversification. I realized that if I wanted to reduce, say, risks tied to maybe one specific company, I needed to think a lot more broadly. And that led me to researching funds and understanding how investments across many companies could help to create a more balanced approach for our family. Now, that was a big mental shift for me personally, because instead of just thinking, what is the next exciting stock, I started thinking, how do I build something a lot more resilient? How do I participate in long-term growth without being overexposed to just one company or just one story?
That's a huge shift. And, it's very important in a relationship setting where two people may have combined their finances, for example, as we did, and embarked on investing journey together. I feel like for a lot of us, having a mix of funds and some stocks helped me personally to feel calmer, that we wouldn't lose everything, and instead we had more to gain long term.
Yeah, the goal became to build wealth steadily.
Yeah.
Over time, that learning eventually led us more and more towards consistent investing in broader funds, index funds, ETFs, rather than trying to make wealth depending on just a few dramatic moments.
So what did this teach us about the difference between old money rules and new wealth rules? I think this is where the real lesson lies. Our parents' generation often taught us how to earn, protect, and preserve. And to be fair, that old wisdom still matters.
Yeah.
But wealth in this country tends to sit most strongly with older households. The ONS says median household wealth is highest when the household head is aged 65 to 74. So building over time still works. Ownership still works. And patience still works. But now people often need more than cash savings alone to get there. Now, what we've had to learn is how to save our money and also grow it without swapping time for it.
That's exactly it. The old rule was work hard and save money, right? That updated rule for today, I'd say, is more work smart, develop the right habits, save and invest consistently, and do it for the long term. And this is where I think many families need to evolve their mindset when it comes to investing, because if you grew up around just scarcity or struggle or watching your parents work non-stop just to keep things going, your natural instinct might just be caution, right? And that makes sense, but wealth building in the modern world often requires one step beyond that initial caution. It requires a focus on ownership.
Yep, not just earning money, owning income producing assets, not just working for money, but instead putting money to work, and not just storing value, but making sure that you're growing value too.
Absolutely. It's not like we're rejecting the wisdom we've inherited. It's about taking it and making it better for the environment we're currently living in at the moment. Now, one of the reasons this conversation matters right now is because the start of the tax year, as well as the tax year end, is one of those moments that reminds people to pause and ask themselves, am I using the tax-free allowances available to me well? Yeah. For me, opening that Hargreaves Lansdowne stocks and shares ISA was not just about one investment idea. It was really the beginning of a much bigger shift in how I thought about the future. My personal identity from just an employee who earns more to one who's now an investor was a massive confidence boost for me personally. It became the start of moving from cash only thinking to a long-term investing mindset, from just hesitation to actually learning. It helped me shift from trying to pick things emotionally to building more consistently, and as we've mentioned, actually thinking more long-term. And years later, that kind of consistent investing into funds, index funds, ETFs will become part of the journey that will help us over time become financially independent as a family.
Yep, and that is why this is bigger than just picking a platform or an investing account. It is about your why and what that first step represents.
Yeah, exactly. And if someone is at the stage now where they're trying to move from just saving into learning how to invest more intentionally, one practical thing you can do today is to explore a stocks and shares ISA. Every adult in the UK gets a £20,000 tax-free allowance, and for couples it's £40,000 per year.
And this also matters because while workplace pensions have done a lot of good, they're not the whole answer. The Institute for Fiscal Studies, IFS, has said automatic enrolment has a tremendously positive impact on pension participation, which is great. But it also means people should not assume that one system alone will do all the heavy lifting for their future.
Absolutely 100. We will leave the link to Hargreaves Lansdowne below for anyone who wants to find out more and start their investing journey. We've used them personally so far across stocks and shares ISA, lifetime ISA, SIP, junior ISA, and they've been critical for our wealth building journey as a family. Now, thinking about the bigger why.
Yeah, so for us, wealth building comes back to something a lot deeper. Money has never just been about money.
Yeah.
It's about peace, it's about options, it's about family, and it's also about being able to breathe, even when the world feels uncertain, like it currently does at the moment.
Absolutely. Me personally, one of the deepest motivations has always been time. Growing up, I watched my parents spend so much of their working lives, doing 3 jobs each because they had to keep up with survival for us as a family. They were always stretched, and that meant time away from us as their children. Part of what investing represented for me was the possibility of actually buying back my time with family, time for purpose, time to live more intentionally and live differently to the way my parents actually lived.
Absolutely. And this is why these decisions matter so much, because when you build wealth with wisdom and intention, you're not just changing numbers in your account, you begin changing your future, life, and the financial destiny of your loved ones too.
Yes, and to conclude this video, yes, our parents were right about so many things, right about discipline, sacrifice, hard work, and so on.
But in today's world, these things may need an extra layer.
And that extra layer could be investing, ownership, long-term thinking, habits, systems, and actually working smart.
So not instead of the old wisdom, but on top of it. So we would love to hear from you guys in the comments. What money lessons did you inherit from your parents or the generation before you? And do you think it still works today?
That'll be really interesting to see. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. Don't go anywhere. Check out this recent video on index funds and ETFs explained how to start investing for beginners. And as always, in all things, be thankful and seek joy. Take care, people. Bye.
Bye.